Let's talk about everything still going on in the Kiely Rodni case. Today is Tuesday, October 4th, and I'm wondering if Adventures with Purpose will have to threaten another lawsuit in order to get the reward for finding Kiely Rodni that they were promised. I want to talk about that $75,000 that's up in the air, and a change.org petition going around that's getting more popular that is hoping to help Adventures with Purpose get what the petitioner believes they deserve, and how Kiely Rodni's family is striking back at that petition for an odd reason: the use of Kiely's photos, the same photos that were on the flyer that the family urged all of us to spread around when Kiely went missing. Let's talk about Adventures with Purpose showing up on Dr. Phil yesterday. And I want to talk about Sami Smith a little bit more. Sami's a friend of Kiely Rodni's, and recently a mother to one of Sami's friends gave a very long interview to another YouTube creator that gave us even more details about what Sami told her, and we can glean might have happened to Kiely that fateful night. We can also touch on the fact that as of this filming, Sami has wiped all of the videos off of her TikTok. So perhaps she is paying attention to some of the advice that this mom of her friend, a woman named Megan Cole, gave to Sami. And the advice she gave to Sami was via a YouTube video called Open Discussion: What Happened to Them? Kiely Rodni, Debbie Collier, Devin Clark, Lyric Woods, by a great new YouTube creator. And even though I am following, for example, the Debbie Collier case too, it's like the Kiely Rodni case keeps sucking me back in with so much to research. First off, let's get this GoFundMe reward business out of the way. A YouTube creator named Squirrel Girl Crime Talk is fiery passionate about getting justice for Kiely and having her honored in a nice way. The Squirrel Girl Crime Talk YouTube creator has said she used her own money to purchase a type of memorial bench for Kiely in her memory to honor her, and Squirrel Girl says that she will even pay on her own dime to travel to California to have that bench installed in honor of the 16-year-old Kiely Rodni who lost her life mysteriously. Still, at this point, we don't know how, and she was found submerged in Prosser Creek Reservoir in California. Well, now Squirrel Girl is battling back against the family of Kiely Rodni for her fight to get Adventures with Purpose the $75,000 reward that was promised to anyone who could lead to information to finding Kiely. We're going to look at many of the iterations of this GoFundMe for Kiely Rodni, how it just blew up, got so large, and the controversy that surrounds it to this day, even after Kiely was found. Adventures with Purpose famously found Kiely Rodni sadly not alive on Sunday, August 21st. Now, Kiely first went missing sometime in the late evening hours of Friday, August 5th, until the early morning hours of Saturday, August 6th, and we still don't know how. So I became aware of the case that Sunday. I also made a TikTok video about the GoFundMe and everything surrounding the case. At that point, the GoFundMe had raised $3,065 out of a $15,000 goal from 25 donations. A woman named Amy Quirarty, I believe you pronounce her name, is organizing the fundraiser. I caught it when it was created only 8 hours earlier, around Sunday, August 2nd, at 12:28 p.m. It was categorized in the emergencies category, and it read, quote, "With the consent of Kiely's parents, I am starting this GoFundMe to help increase the reward for her return. We hope this will encourage more people to come forward with any information that can help bring this sweet girl home. Right now, the reward is $5,000. Let's get that number higher and bring her home. Please consider donating." Well, it worked. because by Sunday, August 7th, the Find Kylie Rodni Instagram account displayed flyers promising a $10,000 reward, quote, for any information that leads to her being found. So it went from $5,000 really quickly the same day up to a $10,000 reward for finding Kylie. Just 2 days later, by August 9th, that same day of that famous press conference where Sami jumped on the microphone and law enforcement spoke, Kylie's reward was up to $50,000. It was being offered, quote, for any information that leads to her being found. Unlike anyone who is trying to rewrite history, the reward was not offered to Kylie being found alive, Kylie being found safely, or other such nuances. And in situations like this, we're going to learn why words are really important, especially legally. The Instagram account named Find Kylie Rodni urged people to please share this everywhere. And we had similar photos of Kylie. The first ones we saw, it looks like Kylie perhaps wearing a flower lei or something, and one of them standing next to a man with a beard, but he's cut off. Another photo where she has like a little crop top on and she's smiling, she has her blue nails. Those were the first images of Kylie that went out on flyers everywhere. Please share everywhere. August 11th, we were again urged, please repost and share. So people were inspired to give. They wanted Kylie to come home. On August 12th, someone asked on the Instagram account, is this money going towards her family and the police? The Instagram account, Find Kylie Rodni, answered, this Instagram account is being run by a community volunteer with a background in social media and community engagement. It was started by her friends as soon as she went missing and then passed on. All information via this account will be accurate, truthful, and timely. The GoFundMe and also legit. And all funds will go to the search and recovery effort to find Kylie and to support her family through this search. By August 14th, the same Find Kylie Rodni Instagram account wrote, as search efforts desperately continue, we ask for your support during this incredibly challenging time. Please consider donating to help Kylie's family through this horrible nightmare. Use of these donations are focused in 3 primary areas. Contributions towards the reward. Our volunteer search to help the Rodni and Neiman families make ends meet due to loss of income while they focus on finding Kylie. They wrote, we have had a tremendous outpouring of in-kind donations from local businesses in Truckee, some for free, some at a cost. As we search for Kylie, our needs for resources continue, and small businesses are reaching a point where they have understandably donated all that they can. We truly appreciate your thoughts, prayers, hopes, and concern, and are grateful for all donations, no matter how small, monetary, or via uplifting messages for family and friends. Please help us bring her home. So again, the official Instagram account for Kylie, which is still live as of this filming, even though they have taken down the findkylierodni.com website, the Instagram account is still live. Please follow links in our profile for updates and resources. Currently, a $75,000 reward for info that leads to us finding her. So, in the wake of Adventures with Purpose not receiving the promised $75,000 reward for finding Kylie, a Change.org petition was started by the Squirrel Girl Crime Talk, and it's taken off. Originally, the petition had 300 signatures. Now it has more than 3,300 signatures. And apparently Kylie's family is watching this petition and they're hitting back at it, but for an odd reason. On her community page on YouTube, Squirrel Girl wrote, Please sign the petition in support of AWP to get the $75,000 reward money, most of which was raised by a GoFundMe account. One or both of the parents are aware of and are trying to take the petition down. They have already filed a complaint to have her photo removed, so I did, she wrote. Please share and sign as soon as possible. It is easy and is free. Kylie's family is hitting back at this change.org petition that demands Adventures with Purpose should be paid the $75,000 reward for finding, and it trails off because they've removed Kylie's name and photos because a complaint was filed on that petition. Now, Squirrel Girl has a screenshot of her email from change.org. It looks official. It says, "We're writing to let you know that we received a complaint alleging that the photo of a minor posted in your petition has been used without the permission of the child's parent or guardian." I thought to myself, ain't that about a blip? I just cannot believe the way this case is going. I've never seen a reaction like this bad to Adventures with Purpose. The photos originally used in the change.org petition was just a flyer, the same flyer showing that $75,000 reward for any information that leads to finding Kylie. AWP found Kylie. We were told to share that flyer, and now the family is actually hitting back, not necessarily because they're alleging this petition is wrong. This petition is truthful. I have tons of screenshots of what was actually promised, the monies that were promised to the person who found Kylie. I think a lot of people have a righteous anger about this because if Adventures with Purpose had received, or if they will receive, the $75,000 they were promised, no matter how much AWP is making now, but if that $75,000 were invested into even more equipment, even into more workers, more divers, more crew, what have you, think of all these missing people, all these other cases that it just might tip the scales and these people may be found. Initially, I thought to myself, oh, well, I was on the fence. Some people are saying, well, rewards never get paid out anyway, or AWP makes enough money, or, they think AWP has bad motives, or whatever some of their detractors might say. I still contribute to Adventures with Purpose. They shine a spotlight on many different types of people that are missing. Men, women, people of all races and ages. And so I think the work they do is good and honorable. And to see them being so disparaged right now, as if finding Kylie Rodney was a bad thing, you would think they disappeared her the way some people are treating Adventures with Purpose. I see why this petition is taking off. At first I thought, oh well, whatever, I have such a heart still for Kylie's mom and her family and her dad and her grandpa, and yeah, it's a huge loss. I know it takes money when you lose a loved one, not only to cremate them, to give them the celebration of life, the time off, the resources, and we can argue about who actually paid for the resources. We know a lot of them were likely paid for by the state, but I know families do incur expenses when they lost a child. At first, I didn't think so much of it. Who cares if the mom keeps all the GoFundMe money or does what she wants with it? I initially thought because none of us would want to suffer the loss that Kylie's mom has suffered. But when I look at these other arguments that no matter who found Kylie, let's say if it were a fisherman, we know some skilled fishermen were in Prosser Creek attempting to find her. Whomever had found Kylie, they were promised that reward money. And if they would have decided to say, oh no, you keep the reward money, thanks for the offer, keep it for whatever you need, that would be one thing. But it seems like we're dealing with something different here. We're dealing with promises made, promises broken, and not only that, Adventures with Purpose being treated like dirt by some people. And I don't quite understand it all. But according to the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, it's an official website of the U.S. government, the Department of Justice. There's a report from 1998, When Your Child is Missing, a Family Survival Guide. And the government literally warned people, be aware that your reward offer can become a legally enforceable contract. If you offer a reward, you are agreeing to pay a sum of money if a person's actions lead to the requested result. That means anyone who complies with the terms of the offer can be legally entitled to claim the reward and can sue for its recovery. That's why you must be very careful in how you describe the terms of the reward offer. Sloppy language can result in serious legal problems. Ask an attorney for pro bono legal assistance. This isn't the first time, unfortunately, Adventures with Purpose has run into a family that did not want to pay them the promised reward money. Now, some people, again, they may think, oh, AWP, they make enough money from their memberships. They make enough money from their YouTube video views or their merchandise or their whole thing. I know there are different voices of people, even ones who used to work with them. We've seen that Sam man that used to work with them. And, I've heard other voices and other feedback about Adventures with Purpose. But how much money they make elsewhere, it still has no bearing on a promised reward. Heaven forbid if I had lost something I really liked. Let's look at my salt lamp. If I lost my salt lamp, I'm pet sitting in case you notice the different background. My salt lamp, if I lost it, just for a stupid example, and I put up a $15 reward for whoever can find my salt lamp. If a person walks outside and they're like, oh, there's your salt lamp in the bushes. No matter how much money that person who found my salt lamp has, no matter how much money or funds, or even if it's not the person I wanted to find my salt lamp, whoever found it, that doesn't negate the fact that I promised $15 to whoever found my salt lamp. So it doesn't matter that it was Adventures with Purpose that found KIELY. Whoever found KIELY legally is due that money. That's why Adventures with Purpose threatened to sue in the past. There was a case per the Des Moines Register. When Ethan Kazmierzak went missing, there were 5 anonymous donors who created a $20,000 reward for info that helped find him. Now in 2015, his reward was increased to $100,000 in order to renew interest in the case. These big numbers, it's been proven in titles, different numbers, they draw eyes, they draw people's attention. We shouldn't look at it this way, but it is attributed to a person's worth. If someone sees, oh boy, $75,000 for finding Kylie Rodney, naturally, without thinking, the mind of a person might say, wow, she must have been really loved or really important or really what have you from a well-to-do family or from people who really love her. Wow, look at this big reward for her. In fact, in going through Instagram comments on the Find Kylie Rodney page, someone alleges that Gwyneth Paltrow had even shared Kylie Rodney's missing poster. I couldn't find evidence of that. It may have been on one of Gwyneth Paltrow's stories and no one got a screenshot. The person could be lying. I don't know. Either way, Kylie's ramped up because of the reward promised. It did bring a lot of attention to her case. Back then, in late September, after their first search for Ethan, the Adventures with Purpose crew thought the reward was still available. Jarrett Lesick, who founded Adventures with Purpose, said, "This is a real-life treasure hunt. There's $100,000 on the line if you can find Ethan." But Hampton businessman Brad Staley, who coordinated the reward among the 5 original donors, said the money was pledged, not paid up front, and was not renewed for 2020. It must have been late September 2020 they're talking about, when Adventures with Purpose thought this $100,000 reward was still available. So Staley told the Des Moines Register that he received an email from Jarrett's group indicating that they might file a lawsuit in order to collect the promised reward. Jarrett confirmed to the Des Moines Register that his group was discussing possible legal action back then. Jarrett said, "We never pursued Ethan's case because there was a reward tied to it. But if you take away this reward, you have ruined the integrity of what rewards are there for. So we just ask a God-loving county of donors to do what's right in their hearts." So it turns out in that instance, just the threat of a lawsuit ended up helping Adventures with Purpose at least recoup some of the promised reward. The Reno Gazette-Journal said they called that Iowa businessman Brad Staley, who had helped organize the reward, and he did say Adventures with Purpose did not end up suing, but he did say that Ethan's family gave Adventures with Purpose money. He could not say how much, but believed it was a significant amount. In that instance, when they literally found Ethan and there was a $100,000 reward on the line, you can't really play with semantics. In this case, I believe, supposedly that reward had expired the day before Adventures with Purpose got there, or what have you. It's interesting to see all the ways people try and wiggle out of giving them what they've advertised. It's like, use Kylie's photos, please spread them around. Use these, and spread the word. Use your platforms, use your time, your money, your energy. Everybody come search. And that's how people responded. People didn't do it for money. They did it out of the goodness of their hearts. I mean, there were people boots on the ground out there just searching. And the danger, that's what I want to bring up too. Let's not negate the danger that expert divers go through. I mean, how many of us are willing to strap on an oxygen tank and put on a scuba suit and literally dive down there in some dangerous places where it might not look so bad on the surface, but even if Adventures with Purpose spoke with Dr. Phil and told him, one expert said volunteer does not mean amateur. A lot of these guys are better divers than the police divers. You know, you get a dozen guys on a law enforcement team and they'll say, who wants to sign up to be the diver? And you'll have all these guys or women saying, no, I can't even swim. And so we can't take it lightly what these men and women do for a living in terms of diving on a volunteer basis, risking their lives to go find deceased people. And the fact that Adventures with Purpose has found at least 24 people right now, those are 24 people whose fate may not have been known otherwise, or it may have taken a lot longer. Now, it's odd, according to the Reno Gazette-Journal, that the reward for KIELY was partially funded by a GoFundMe account set up for Lindsay Neiman, KIELY's mother. It raised more than $63,000. According to Linda Lucetti, a spokesperson for the KIELY Rodney family, quote, Adventures with Purpose does not accept rewards. Now that, I don't know where that came from. A lot of us took it as face value. Oh, they don't accept rewards. Well, it turns out they do, and they very much, to my understanding, would be willing to take the promised reward. According to Lucetti, larger donations that were pledged to the reward have been returned. So that part is good. And law enforcement confirmed that they had not helped organize the reward and had no knowledge or involvement in how or if it would be paid. So that makes sense. Law enforcement is like, look, our hands are clean. We didn't have anything to do with this reward. But the confusion came when it was like, will Adventures with Purpose take a reward? Oh, they don't even take it. There were excuses, in my opinion, now that I'm looking back on how things transpired. God forgive me if I'm wrong, but I feel like there was a lot of focus on the notification process, and AWP isn't going to write Kylie's story, don't hand them the pen and authorship and all that brouhaha. I feel like that may not have been just because, oh, we don't like the way Adventures with Purpose notified people. I feel like it was because of this reward. Will Adventures with Purpose have to go forward with threats of another lawsuit like they did in Ethan's case? I remember seeing Jared say, he kind of felt he was thinking about it and he decided not to sue. So I don't know how the settlement came in Ethan's case. Obviously, we don't have a lot of details, but did they get half of the reward? AWP? Did they get a quarter of it? I don't know. We don't know. I am grateful they got something, because especially if they're pouring all this back into their business, into their equipment, expanding their teams, that's how many more missing people can be found. And Adventures with Purpose is very purposeful in taking all types of cases, which I really appreciate them for doing. Will they have to go that same route? They have a bigger profile. Obviously, Kylie's case was just huge. Adventures with Purpose was on Dr. Phil's show on Monday, October 3rd. They did feature a short Kylie segment. They played Lindsay's plea video for Kylie, please help find my daughter, that heartbreaking video. And they didn't get into any of the controversy, really. The notification process, they didn't get into a lot of it, but you can tell Dr. Phil is a fan of Adventures with Purpose. They did have Amy, the mom of Jed Hall, who was another 16-year-old. He was a boy who was missing for 4.5 years, since January of 2018, before Adventures with Purpose found him. Jared asked Amy, I've always wondered, are you mad at us? Because they hadn't really spoken, I guess, since Jed was found. And Amy said, quite poignantly, no, I'm mad at my son. But Amy explained, just like probably in Kylie's case, they were kind of humoring Adventures with Purpose. Oh, they're coming here to look for Jed. What'll they find? And when they literally found Jed, his mom could not believe it. His mom said, oh my goodness, I've been told over and over again that Jed was not there in that body of water. Amy's husband was a retired law enforcement guy. And unfortunately, it seems like the law enforcement in that town didn't treat him right either. When their son went missing, they told him, you're former law enforcement, so basically you get no info in this case. But it was another controversial case. They blurred out the law enforcement guy, and Amy was in denial, and she could not believe it when Jed was literally in that body of water. If you search on YouTube or Facebook, you'll find AWP on Dr. Phil, so you can go watch the whole show. I won't put it here. And you'll be able to see the whole Dr. Phil show. But Amy was incredulous. After 4.5 years of being told, no, your son's not there, that AWP shows up and they're able to not only find Jed's vehicle, something apparently he had intentionally done, driven into this body of water after breaking a window at his school and dropping off a note with his in a girl's locker, one of his friends. His mom admitted she was still in denial, because even after they found his car, she said, well, that could have just been his car. He could have just pushed the car in there and still, got out of town. She was still in denial, as any person would be. Who wants to think of their 16-year-old that way? Adventures with Purpose verified there were human remains in there. And it was Jed, and his mom, Amy, just could not believe it. But his mom told Jared, look, I'm not mad at you. I was mad at my son. Jared thought, Jared knew how much hope Amy was still holding on to. And so he felt, oh my goodness, I had to crush your hope that day by telling you Jed is not alive, you know? Every shred of hope for Jed being alive went away at that point. That's one of the reasons Jared asked, are you mad at us? But she said, no. You know, they said, you don't shoot the messenger, you don't kill the messenger. You're able to delineate your anger. And that mom, she rightly admitted, I was mad at my son for doing what he did. That was a kind and sweet and heartfelt moment between that mom, and it was just amazing. But lastly, I want to talk about Megan Cole. Everyone's talking about this Megan Cole interview. So Megan Cole is the mom of, I guess, a couple of young people. One is a son who literally graduated with Sami Smith, and another is her daughter who's friends with Sami Smith. So Megan was able to get some firsthand insider info from Sami Smith in the days following Kylie's disappearance, just right up front. Megan had previously called into ICATMEL's channel, and her connection, I guess, was really bad. It was just audio. People are putting those snippets up. That was pretty early on in the case. But now Megan has recently spoken with a YouTube creator named Behind the Crimes with Michelle Sutton. Megan had previously spoken about her conversations and interactions with Sami Smith on Sunday, August 7th, 2022, only about 48 hours after Kiely Rodni went missing in Truckee, California. It's a live that's nearly 9 hours long, so I went through all of it to get as much as I can glean from that video. So let's cover really quickly the main points that I was able to discern. If you go over to the link listed below, you will be able to see and hear the entirety of the whole discussion, which is obviously voluminous, but I just wanted to pick out any facts that might, stick out to me. So Megan had friends who have been texted stuff like, we're following you, we're watching you. It sounds like things are a little crazy going on in Truckee surrounding this case. Megan said she's talked to Sami twice during the whole debacle, and she hasn't heard from Sami in, I guess, 2 or 3 weeks by now. Megan heard the rumor that Sami came home wet, but Sami never mentioned that to Megan. So I'm not sure if it's really true that Sami's clothes were wet or not when she came home from the party that night. Was there a bonfire? Sami said no, but then one of the other kids around Sami said yes. This is what Megan said. There was a little one, and it started after Sami, I guess, and some other people left. And due to burn laws or whatever, they're not supposed to have bonfires, I guess. Megan has also run into Kylie's mom, Lindsay Neiman, and she didn't go into it, but Megan admitted the interaction was not good and not loving. She didn't give us details, but she did say, Megan said it was not Sami's brother who bought the alcohol for the Prosser party. So yeah, Megan had called into ICATMEL's channel 2 days after Kiely went missing, and now she's back speaking with this new YouTuber for an update and to clear up any misconceptions from her previous talk. Again, Megan's children are friends with Sami. Her 18-year-old graduated from the same Truckee high school that Sami graduated from. Her daughter has been good friends with Sami for years. So Megan was privy to plenty of conversations about the party that happened that Friday, August 5th, at the sanctuary at Prosser Creek. So what I've gleaned, and again, please head over there for exact quotes, because some of it I just didn't get necessarily tons of complete sentences or just, linear thought. So I was grabbing what I could. Megan admits she doesn't know exactly what happened to cause Kiely to end up in Prosser Creek. Some of it is just stuff she's been told or the way she's interpreted what she's been told. Megan said that photo going around of Sami beneath a Forest Charter graduation 2022 heading is photoshopped because Sami didn't go to that school. But she said when Kiely goes missing, that's when I went and talked to Sam, and she calls Sami Sam. There was a video going around, and that's when I went and talked to Sam. I guess she means The August 9th video? Maybe not. I think she's talking about some video, she says, where someone created a video where Sami is compared to some serial killer. Comparisons in Sami's speech or something, but allegedly she got it taken down. Megan said during the day of Kylie's memorial, she ran into a mom who said her kids were at the party and that they had already been interviewed by the FBI. Now, one of these boys had parked right next to Kylie the night of the party. He went to bed. Her SUV was there. I guess she means he went to sleep. Kylie's SUV was right there next to him. He woke up the next morning. Her SUV was gone. He had no idea when she left or how she left. These kids are being blamed, but they had no idea what happened. So I have heard this. It's good to see someone, face to face coming up there and telling us these things that we've seen in the Facebook groups and comments. We had heard about some kid, some male who, was in his car or SUV or what have you and fell asleep, I guess, next to Kylie's Honda CRV that night. And she was there, and by the time he woke up, she was gone. Now, this is something that I've been trying to verify. According to Megan, there were some girls at a different party that same night. Allegedly, these girls had called 911 that same night because they saw headlights allegedly go into the water. But because Kylie wasn't missing at the time, 911 didn't take it seriously. Megan says the bodysuit wasn't taken seriously. Finding Kylie's laptop wasn't taken seriously. The girls had called the tip line and then they called again, and allegedly they were finally interviewed by the FBI. So I've looked and looked. I know I've listened to so much. Nevada County, Placer County, Broadcastify. I know I've listened to tons of audio throughout that night, August 5th into August 6th. I know I've listened to a lot of audio and I never heard any dispatch saying like, oh, these girls think they saw headlights going into the water. So it doesn't mean they didn't call. It doesn't mean it's not true. It's just I can't find that dispatch yet. But Megan said everybody knows Sami. More people were trusting a teen to talk to them, other teens. It sounds like Sami may have been undercover and helping the police. Maybe they wanted her to help them because so many people knew her. But Megan said, I asked Sam, I guess she did lie to me because I asked her, was the party advertised anywhere? And she said, no, well, it was. So yeah, we have seen that little screenshot of the party being advertised. Megan gave us insight, like there's no lights out there. Out at Prosser Creek, there's no lights out there. Your bearings get very, very disoriented. You see trees and sky, and there's no anything except for car lights. Megan insists that Sami didn't leave Kylie alone. There were other people there that Kylie knew at the party. Now, was it the right choice for Sami to, get herself out of there with someone who was sober enough to drive? Well, 150% of the time, that would be the right decision, Megan said, but not necessarily in this case. When Megan asked Sami, did you see Kylie? She said yes. Kylie was walking back into the party and everything was fine. Megan asked Sami, was Kylie falling down drunk? No. Was anybody carrying her back and forth from the car? No. She also asked Sami, could Kylie have gotten very far? But then Sami also said no, she was too drunk to drive. So Megan had an interesting opinion. She said Kylie may have begun driving, realized she was too drunk to drive, so maybe she pulled over, perhaps down by the beach area. I don't know. Kylie must have rolled down her windows, she thinks, crawled in the back seat, hit her car perhaps into neutral accidentally while doing so, crawling backwards in her car towards the hatch perhaps. And if she accidentally kicked her car into neutral and eventually it went down the hill into the water because she was parked on a hill, that's what Megan theorizes. It's all speculation. So people are thinking, wait a minute, that wouldn't work. You shouldn't be able to accidentally kick your, car into neutral. And I looked for the Honda CRV 2013 and I couldn't get an exact photo of it. But Megan says Kylie's car does go into neutral from what I've heard. She was having problems with it. It would have gone forward into neutral if the car was on. She was saying something about neutral in front of park. I mean, I did look up the cases of Honda CR-V in the past where there's some kind of problem with it. You know, another driver was having problem with it being stuck in neutral or something, but I don't even know if it was a push start or if it was a key. I think hers was, you know, the kind, I don't know if it was a push start or not, keys in the ignition, and that came up too, about if someone allegedly took Kylie's keys. So all these questions, especially auto experts are kind of like, that's not plausible, or this couldn't happen. And I guess it's just kind of hard to know. But that was an interesting scenario. Did Kylie drive her car from the sanctuary over to the beach area and realize, I can't make it home, I better just park here? But I wish, and maybe wouldn't it be ironic if Kylie thought, I better not fall asleep in this group of crazy people here, because that might be dangerous. So I better go somewhere more isolated, fall asleep there. And if it is true that this may have been a crazy accident by her car being in neutral, wouldn't that be just sadly ironic? Kylie may have been parked on the beach area. There was talk about she has her keys. And, we don't get a lot of names, so it's hard to know who's referencing whom. Megan says she heard that someone took potentially Kylie's keys, and Kylie may have taken them back and driven away. So that would have been a good friend. People probably saw Kylie's state of intoxication, and maybe they said, look, I'm taking your keys, girl. You're not going anywhere. But then did Kylie get those keys back? Was the car on? These are the questions. So Megan said, I heard Kylie had a fight with Sami, but she didn't mention it to me. I don't know the answer. I heard they had a disagreement. I don't know if it was over Kylie driving. I don't know if it's truthful or not. So it's good. She's just telling us, look, this is what's going around Truckee from those kind of in the know, really, closer in, so it could be true. Drugs? Well, Megan claims she knows what was in Kylie's system. Now, we haven't gotten the toxicology results back yet, so once we get them back, we can compare them to what's being said. But Megan said, I do know the last time she had ingested any substance that's drug-related, and I don't think it would have anything to do with the party. So later she's going to say she heard from Jagger that Kylie, there may have been coke or something in her system, not hallucinogenics, but coke. And I did notice going through the Find Kylie Rodney Instagram account that there was a screenshot where they were saying, don't worry, kids, come forward. People are already turning themselves in, or, they just mean they're admitting they had done coke, they had done shrooms. So obviously that was something at the party. And, again, no shade. Of course, it's a dangerous thing. We don't want anyone doing it, but it's something that could have shown up in my system when I was a young person. So I'm not saying any of this to disparage or shame Kylie. So yeah, Megan talked about there being weed and coke at the party. Sami said no hallucinogenics. We'll see if Kylie has coke in her system. But for some reason, Megan is saying, I know for a fact the timing wouldn't have affected her this instance. I don't really know what that means. But Megan said she asked Jagger and found out Kylie would have been under the influence of coke, but it might not show up in her system. So I don't know if it means it leaves your system really quickly. The mass exodus, there was an after party according to Megan, and there were people blocking the road. This was interesting. Sami has been hooked up to a lie detector test for 8.5 hours, the same as Jagger has, and with an armed guard walking next to them. They've been grilled by the FBI. If she had anything to hide, they would have found it. That's everything Megan alleges, and it very well could be true. I'm glad they were grilled for that long. And in grilling them that long, I'm glad they've cleared Jagger, and still I'm wondering, when will they clear Sami? But Megan says Sami got put on Front Street. She was the only one who put her face forward. Don't shoot the messenger. This is what I know. She told, people, this is what I don't know. That's why the police trusted Sami. They had already gone through everything she knew. And is Sami undercover? I don't know. But there was some video going around comparing Sami to a serial killer. I don't really remember that. It got taken down because Megan allegedly talked to the FBI. Now, there's a lot of talk about this Cody Milne, that Sami may have had his name written down on the sheet or whatever that was caught in a photo. Apparently Cody was at the party, but according to Megan, he's apparently not a good guy. Megan didn't know why police didn't pull KIELY's SUV straight out of the water with a crane, instead of the way they did it by flipping it and losing stuff. Megan does not think the AAA guy saw KIELY and her SUV at Boca the next day because someone would have spotted her in that interim time. Why is Jagger cleared and not Sami? Maybe because law enforcement still wants info from Sami? I don't know. When Megan said she talked to Sami, Sami said she heard KIELY was still at the party from her last phone call. Megan says Sami's story has stayed the same. Sami has gotten her number changed. I don't blame her because her number was everywhere on all that stuff, Give it to Sami if you find info, blah, blah, blah. So now I'm glad her number has changed so people won't be blasting Sami and harassing her. Megan said she has seen Sami's TikTok videos and she thinks Sami is making herself look worse. So maybe that's why Sami had cleared her TikTok page. And I want to see if it's still clear. Yep, it's still clear. Sami still has more than 35,000 followers, but no content right now. So Sami told Megan that they were going back and forth to get Trulies from KIELY's car. So if anyone has had a Truly, those little drinks, it kind of reminds me of a White Claw. They're not really that strong. So I'm wondering what else must have been there to cause KIELY to allegedly be so drunk. They were going back and forth to get Trulies from KIELY's car. There was a party area, there was a car area, and in between people would walk back and forth. That was kind of like where that photo was taken, basically pretty much almost the only photo we've seen from Sami at the party of, all those kids kind of standing in a line. Megan did text Sami 2 weeks ago and she hasn't heard back from her. The FBI told Megan's dad that the parents of that town, Truckee, need to get their heads out of the sand and realize that the kids are out of control. Now, I'm sure it's not all of them, and I know they're probably bored and needing things to do, but yikes. Megan admitted Sami could have looked me straight in the face and told me what I wanted to hear. Megan does reveal a softer side of Sami. One when the cameras were off, when the TikToks are off, showing emotion. According to Megan, Sami allegedly said, "I don't care what they say about me, I just want my friend found." Sami was in tears, and yes, she has remorse. So how did KIELY's Life 360 get turned off? Megan says with KIELY's iPhone, it could go up to 30 feet of water. Did she have enough charge on her cell phone? Megan was asked. No, she didn't have enough charge. She would have had to charge her cell phone on the way home. But Megan admits Sami did put herself in that position to be the front runner. Megan had told Sami, get a notebook, write down these stories you're getting from all these teens to see what stories she was getting and see if any changed over time. They are young adults who just turned 18 and they didn't expect international attention. So whoa, that's Adventures with Purpose on Dr. Phil. That's that Change.org petition that is fighting to get Adventures with Purpose that promised reward. And I'm wondering if this will grow legs and really go farther than we ever expected. If it's God's will, if it's His intention, maybe it will. Because we don't know who could be positively impacted by that $75,000. And maybe it might help restore a little bit of, goodwill or a little bit more positive motivation to AWP to say, you have to deal with all this backlash sometimes and people questioning your motives and all of that. But in the end, you are doing a good thing by finding missing people who may have never been found without you. And we talked about Sami's responses to her friend's mom. And so Megan gave us great insight behind the scenes. So again, we wait for real, true answers from authorities. For now, I will close with 2 Timothy 4:1. I solemnly charge you in the presence of God and of Christ Jesus, who is to judge the living and the dead, and by his appearing and his kingdom, preach the word as an official messenger. Be ready when the time is right, and even when it is not. Keep your sense of urgency, whether the opportunity seems favorable or unfavorable, whether convenient or inconvenient, whether welcome or unwelcome. Correct those who err in doctrine or behavior. Warn those who sin. Exhort and encourage those who are growing toward spiritual maturity with inexhaustible patience and faithful teaching. So there we are, another KIELY video. I've researched a lot more cases, and I do plan to present a lot more cases, but I have to go with that fire shut up in my bones, the fire in my belly. And today this one was really getting me going. I couldn't believe that if it is KIELY's family, whoever it is trying to attack that change.org petitioner by claiming she has no permission to publish KIELY's flyer, when in fact we were all given permission to publish that flyer. It just sadly seems like a way to try and get out of paying the rightful reward that was promised. And just because, quote, no one pays those rewards, or everybody promises stuff, well, that's just not fair. The next missing person could promise someone a $100,000 reward and get all this attention and get all these people. And whoever finds that person, if they're just like, oh, you're SOL, whatever, I didn't like the way you found my loved one and how you told me or whatever, don't use their photos that I told you to share everywhere. I mean, it's just a mess. And so that's what really encouraged me. And you guys know I've been nothing but sympathetic to KIELY's family, because none of us would want to feel that loss. But the way that they're hitting out, I feel like, and attacking whoever this is, a person who questions the promised reward, it just seems wrong. Let God be the judge, and we will see what happens. And again, stay tuned for more cases as we wait for KIELY's results. Thank you so much.